So in today's episode, we're going to talk all about aging, my experiences, the main lessons I've learned, and I'm also going to bring in some science and psychology, what it means to age, and also how we can stay youthful and young and silly and joyful as we age. So most people dread turning 30. They want to stay young forever, but in full confession, I am the opposite. I am the outlier. And so 30 is always one of those big milestone birthdays that I have been personally really excited to hit. And drum roll please. Yeah, girl's 30. I just turned 30. For my birthday, my wife and I did a little day trip up to Beacon, New York. Here's some pictures from the day. And as we talk, we are going to sculpt a prototype for my new shop drop that's gonna be happening very soon. It's kind of like a spicy Valentine's Day drop, but I don't want this intro to get too long. Let's get over to the desk and let's get sculpting. So I've got my coffee. Go grab yours or grab a tea if that's more your cup of tea. Let's start claying and talking about aging. Okay. When I first set out to create my character, I had a general sense of the creature I wanted to create. Something cute, earthy, playful. But I honestly had no idea what the final product would look like. Florence, or Flo for short, has since become the main character in my shop, and she is symbolic of blooming and blossoming into who we authentically are by stepping out of the box. She's not a cat or a bear, but simply herself. She just kind of came into her own through months of sculpting and experimenting, and I honestly kind of feel like that's how my life has worked out too. Growing up, I've always had a general sense of the life I wanted to create growing up. I was planting the metaphorical seeds along the way, but I had no concrete idea or picture of what my life was going to turn out like, what it was going to look like. But that's also why I've been so excited about getting older, because aging isn't about losing who you are, it's just about becoming more of who you're meant to be throughout the years. Each year gives us new experiences. Pardon my dog in the background. Bijame. Deeper relationships and just a better sense of who we are and the world around us. I was never one that believed high school would be my best years, and honestly, in fact, I always found that idea a little bit sad. I didn't want to peak at 15. Here's me at 15. I was awkward and insecure and shy, and that's fine. A lot of 15-year-olds are like that. Nothing was wrong with me, but I don't want to be like that the rest of my life. Life gets better as you get older, I promise. And then I always knew my 20s would be like my baby adult years. You're learning how to be an adult and function on your own, not relying on your parents. And honestly, if I could sit down with my 20-year-old self 10 years ago, she'd be so shocked and surprised with how my life has turned out. 20-year-old me would have no idea that we'd end up living in New York City, that we'd end up marrying the love of our life at 28, that we'd be making this YouTube video, and throughout it all, she would be very happy. And the progress we made with her mental health too. We still struggle. We still struggle a lot sometimes, but I now understand my brain so much more than I did 10 years ago, that it's so much easier to live and cope with now. I'm so glad my 20-year-old self stuck in there and kept going. When I turned 20, I was so confused, burnt out, and honestly, I was thinking about dropping out of college, which I don't think I've ever told anyone that before, even my parents. That was during my sophomore year of college, and then the next year, during my junior year, I just fled the country. No, I studied abroad in Ireland, and during that year, it was the first year in my adulthood that I really started to be more of who I am. I came out of the closet. I shaved my head. I had my first queer relationship. It was an amazing year, but also a roller coaster. And then to quickly sum up the rest of my 20s, I went through a few breakups, lived in multiple different cities, and worked numerous jobs. I was a nanny, an ESL teacher, a yoga teacher, a dog walker, preschool substitute teacher, instructional designer, and that's just to name a few. And also not to mention living through a worldwide pandemic. Yeah, my 20-year-old self definitely did not see that one coming. So now let's quickly rapid fire some of the biggest lessons I've learned in my 30 years of life. If If there's anything I've learned about life so far, it is to trust the process. Life won't necessarily turn out how you expect it to, but somehow the seeds you plant, the abstract goals, intentions, and as some like to call them, manifestations, do sprout in your life in one way or another. So keep dreaming even if it feels unrealistic, because hey, maybe it's not unrealistic. When I was younger, I often second-guessed myself a lot. This often looked like seeking for external validation or answers outside of myself and trusting that more than I would trust my intuition. But now I'm learning how to trust my gut and my intuition and how to stand firm in who I am, which takes us to the next one. Learning to say no and stopping to people please, which is honestly something I'm still working on. It's very, very hard not to people please, but my life has only benefited from doing those two things. I promise. It's scary, I know, but it helps. And while this may sound cheesy, but health is definitely wealth. Nothing is worth the cost of your physical or mental health. I promise. Please prioritize it. You'll only realize how important it is the older you get. Also, aging doesn't mean losing your youthfulness. And I'm not necessarily talking in the physical sense, I'm talking in like the spiritual, mental sense. And instead of fighting or resisting aging, we can happily embrace it and cherish it. Now I'm just gonna make the little cheeks. But I really believe that every stage of life has its own magic and its own lessons, and if we learn to embrace it, it's just gonna be so much better than fighting it. And there is my dog again. And I don't also just believe that. Psychological research proves it. Studies show that, and I have my own notes down here, that people who adopt a positive perspective on aging tend to live longer and experience better mental health. With that, shall we go into a little nerdy psychology lesson on aging? I know I love my psychology, maybe you do too. So according to psychology, there are 3 main ways that we age. The first type of age is what we typically think of about age. The most straightforward, it's chronological age, which is simply just how many years has it been since we were born. Basic, that's what we think of when we think of age, right? Next is psychological age. And now this is how old we feel, and it can actually be way different than our chronological age. It's shaped by how we perceive ourselves and how we adapt to life's changes. For example, teens tend to feel much older than we are. I mean, been there, done that, right? But the opposite also becomes true as we age. Research shows that adults over 40 tend to feel between 6.4 and 21.1 years younger than their actual chronological age. That's a pretty big gap. But it really varies for each person. I'm sure we've all seen the 30-year-old that looks 45, but the 60-year-old that looks and appears 40. Depending on our actions and lives and style, we can either make ourselves appear younger or older than our chronological age. Then there's social age. Now this is how society expects us to behave, or the ages that we should hit milestones at. For example, when you should go to college, get married, retire, yada yada. But luckily, social age is becoming a lot more fluid in the 21st century. And as I hit 30, I can honestly say I don't feel old at all. If anything, I feel even more youthful now than I did the past few years when I was working my 9 to 5. Starting my own business and learning new things, taking risks, oh my gosh, so many risks, those have given me a new kind of energy. And while sometimes the energy is panicky, a lot of the time it's exciting and thrilling. People always say, science always say that time literally slows down when you're experiencing new things, and I think that's also one of the reasons why, when we're a kid, every day feels so long, because we're just doing so many new things. And I can say that's true for me now. From when I started my business just a couple months ago until now, it feels like it's been years. I can't believe it's only been a couple months. And now let's address the big question that everyone in society wants to know the magical answer to, and that is, How do we stay youthful as we age? So here are some science-backed tips that I'm going to continue to embrace as I step into my 30s. 1. Cultivate a growth mindset. In other words, stay curious. A growth mindset means believing you can always learn and improve. People with this mindset are often more resilient and open to new challenges, and whether it's starting a new hobby or changing careers, there's always room for growth. And if you think you can't, then think again. Neuroscience shows that our brains are capable of learning and adapting throughout life. It's called neuroplasticity. So never stop being curious and don't hold yourself back because you think you can't. You probably can. Number 2 is to cultivate healthy relationships. Loneliness can actually age us faster. Join that club you've been thinking about, or ask that person you want to know better to hang out. There's no such thing as being too old to make a new friend or to go on a little date. Even if you're shy, I get it. I'm really shy too. I don't like making the first move. But just try reaching out and ask if they want to grab a coffee or hang out in the park if it's a nice day, because chances are they're just wanting you to make the first move anyways because they are shy as well. A lot of us are very shy, alright? Number 4, take care of that precious body of yours. Remember that exercise and eating well are key, but also remember that everybody's body is different. There's no one size fits all when it comes to health. Learn about your own body and find the balance and the habits that work for you. Another quick little reminder is that our mental health is also very important and also dictates our physical health. So make sure you're not being too strict with yourself and make sure you prioritize rest because rest is important, y'all. Let's go pop her in the oven. Hey Siri, set timer for 30 minutes. Okay, number 5, practice mindfulness. I think we all know what mindfulness probably is, but essentially it's being present in your life. And the older I get, the more I do appreciate the small things, where this is gonna make me sound old, but sometimes doing the dishes is relaxing, like feeling the warm water on your hands and just the monotony of it is soothing for my brain. Although sometimes I do hate dishes, so that's really like a day-by-day difference. But just try to like appreciate the small things, like the conversations you have and the sunset. Even just having a few quiet moments to reflect can be really impactful. 2 concrete things you can do are journal and practice gratitude. Those basically go hand in hand, but I find it very helpful to just have a place where I can dump all my thoughts. Sometimes the small things really are the big things. Now I know none of that was super mind-blowing. I don't have any magical potion for you, but all that to say, your mental health and your perspective on life can literally change everything. I know even for me, I can be doing the same exact thing 2 days, but if my mind is feeling a little sick, the world just feels totally different. So prioritize your mental health, folks. In the present moment, but also do the things that your future self will be grateful for you to have done, if that makes sense. Sometimes I get like a little too philosophical in how I talk, so I'm trying not to do that so I'm not too confusing, but I think you get me. I hope you're enjoying your coffee, by the way, too. I have just a little bit left in my cup. And now we have to wait for the items to be done baking. We have 23.5 minutes left, so I won't bore you by sitting here and rambling for the 23 minutes. I'm gonna take a little break, finish my coffee, because I've been filming for about 2 hours at this point, and my coffee is cold, so I'm going to finish it. Okay, I'll see you in a little bit. So while I'm letting my pieces cool off over there, I'm going to walk my baby boo bug. Let's go for walkies, come on! Now our little creature's all cooled off. I'm a little conflicted because I honestly kind of like it just plain as is, but I wanted to be part of like a little spicy Valentine's Day collection, so I considered putting some like chili peppers on it. I think I'm gonna try drawing it on, and I'm just gonna see what I think. And it's a prototype, so it's not gonna be the final thing anyways. It's all just about experimenting and trying new things. Aging is a privilege. and it's one we should definitely embrace with open hearts and minds, because every year we get older, it's another year we get to live life and try new things, go on new adventures, have more opportunities to grow and explore. And you know, staying youthful isn't about denying your age, but it's instead about approaching life with joy and curiosity and resilience. And just like that, my item is done. The prototype is complete. Little Florence is just all warm and cozy inside her little cup of coffee, and honestly, I wish I was this little character every single day. My inspirations for doing this is that over the holiday season, I was just thinking, how nice would it be to just sit in a cup of hot cocoa and just get all warm and cuddle up with some marshmallows? And so I made that into an ornament. It was the best seller for my shop this past winter by far. I got to ship out a lot of them to a lot of amazing people, which I was very happy about, and always it makes my heart so warm just knowing anyone wants to buy my little creations. And so this one is the next iteration on that, a cup of coffee, and I'm gonna make another little one that'll just be bathing a cup of matcha, because matcha and tea, love. And of course, whenever I make my final product, I will glaze with UV resin and put a chain on it so it's a proper keychain, but since this is just the prototype, I'm gonna leave it off here, and then in my own spare time, I'm gonna go and make the second version. But my friends, I think that is the video. Thank you for hanging out with me today. And let me know down below what your ideas and thoughts about aging are, and if you have a topic idea for a future video, you can let me know down there as well. But for now, keep creating, do something good for yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.